Ken French says, what does it feel like to be your own brand? You made Savage into an amazing enterprise spanning material sales, web projects, marketing for shows, and conferences. Yeah. It was purposeful, the being my own brand. Purposeful. But it's a conversation, and it's an interesting conversation. So I'll tell you where, for me, it begins. I was working in special effects in the late 90s and the early aughts. I knew that I was good at public speaking. I told that to Industrial Light and Magic in 2001, and they started sending me to conferences to give lectures about ILM and special effects. And I spent 5.5 years in the model shop at ILM, and I've talked in the past before that after about 3.5 years, I had felt like I had sort of gotten everything I'd wanted out of this relationship with that model shop. And the next 2 years weren't spent under any duress, just me thinking, what is the bigger picture? What could I do that encompasses this, but is a wider picture? And I looked at the other people who had similar brains or liked thinking about the bigger picture, and the people that I admired. And they were people like Bill George, who's famously a model maker, worked on Blade Runner, became a legendary and amazing effects director at ILM. And I was thinking about moving down that track of becoming an effects director. So then 2002 rolls around. We shoot the pilots for MythBusters. And that just begins this sort of sluice of, all of a sudden you've got a TV show. How do you host a TV show? We're not going to tell you. You're just going to figure it out. We're roughly the same thing every day. And the TV show becomes this slog. I am newly single. I'm totally insane. I stop dating. I figure out what the show is about. And then I start to learn about the way this show intersects with culture and the way culture intersects with this show. And it becomes fascinating watching some of the things we do go out into the culture, watching the culture come through our show and the ways in which we interpret it. And we made the show from 2002 effectively to 2016. And we signed 3 contracts over that time. The last contract we signed was in 2010. And in 2010, our high ratings had leveled off. And I suspected strongly at that moment in time that we had reached the other side of our bell curve of success. That MythBusters had a very nice hockey stick rise, had stayed at the top of the ratings game for the better part of a decade, which was astounding. And that's got to end someday. And I felt like I saw that writing on the wall in 2010 when Jamie and I signed a 5-year contract to extend our MythBusters tenure. And in my mind, the fact that our ratings were at the other crest of their bell curve meant that this was our last contract. Like, when we get to the end of this 5 years, if our ratings are substantively lower than they are now, Discovery is not going to want to pay us the same amount of money to do this show. We were a hit for so long, we kept driving our price up. We were really, really well paid. And, Discovery let us know a lot that they were pissed about that contract, which is, man, that's all like high fives all around when, the network's angry about your contract. So in 2010, I thought to myself, if the show ends in 5 years, what do I want when it ends? Oh, okay, I thought to myself, I have these other co-hosts. It's easy for us, any one of us, to be that person who was on MythBusters. That is the easiest path to take for future notoriety. Oh yeah, that guy, that girl, they used to be on MythBusters. I wanted my name to be a thing that I carried forward out of that. I was blessed with Savage, is a great name. Thanks to my Irish forebears for that name. Actually, they're French, but they've been in Ireland since the 15th century. I realized I wanted to take my name with me. That was the sort of philosophy I had about it, of like, okay, when this show ends, I want people to be like, oh, Adam Savage, not the one who doesn't wear the beret. Really clearly, I felt like that was a specific thing I could have fallen into. So among the things that we did around that time was we started Tested. Tested was a focused way to put Jamie's and my name at first, and then when Jamie dropped out, my name at the top of a marquee, so that it was something you saw every time you engaged with that brand. Writing a book was part of that. And so there's often a talk, I guess, in cultural discussions about people as brands. There's often a separation, and like that you could create a brand that's successful. That, I don't know. I'm trying to tease these things apart in a way that I'm not sure I'll be able to do here. But we treat as a team here at Tested. We understand how the culture responds to us sometimes, but we're not egotistical about our knowledge at all. We're constantly surprised by what does well and what doesn't do well. So we're always reminded that we don't know anything. But we are cognizant of the impression that we make and the impression that we want to make with people. And the impression we want to make is one of kindness and acceptance and inclusivity and engagement and joy for the esoteric and deep dives into the completely crazy. Those are our values. And they're not values that we made a list of to be like, these are the values we want to promote. These are just the values we all believe in. These are the values I believe in as a person. So to me, the way I think of the brand is less like this monolith that is the Adam Savage brand than it is, for this period of time, I have a platform with this amount of outreach, and I want to use that maximally for the good that can be done with that thing. It is also providing a great living for me and the team, and that is delightful. And there are other priorities as well about how that goes. So it feels very, and like I've said on the channel, I bought out the business partners for Tested a couple of years ago. And this is the first time in my life I've never had another partner in my business. I've never had another, frankly, for the longest time, Discovery was a very convenient villain. Parent companies can be convenient villains for getting stuff done or riling up the team. There's none of that. It's just us. So how does it feel? It feels fantastic. I'm very grateful for the communication skills that I have been blessed with and learned over the years. I feel grateful for the message that we get to spread from this vantage point, and the messages that come back to us from the community, the wider community, and communities that we don't even yet know about is really, really delightful. So I kept on wanting to tease something apart about being me the person and me the brand, because I've had people ask me I want to talk to you about establishing my brand. And the thing I always want to say is the establishing of the brand is always secondary to the doing of the work. The interpretation later is, you got to be concentrating on the main thing. The brand isn't ever the main thing. The brand is helpful, but it's not the main thing. The main thing is what we do with the videos, what we make, what we collaborate, what we bring, what we augment, what we raise the volume on. That's what we're doing. And the brand is something that we compare to or think about. It's a useful construction, but it is not the thing. Did I go on too long about that? I can't even tell. When I give these answers that are that feel personal, I can't remember what I said often. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I wanted to briefly mention that you could become a Tested member. I know, everybody is competing for you to become a member of their thing. What I want to express to you is that the Tested membership has become such an important part of the Tested family. We get tremendous feedback from the Tested members, and they expand the stories that we can tell and the things that we have access to. And you can become a part of it right now by clicking on the link below. See you in the chat.